Hello and welcome to this mini lecture, which is talking about the meaning of the word Tantra. My name is Cyan Pascal. I am the founder of The Light Collective. We're an online yoga studio. If you are interested in these kinds of lectures and practices that we do, like breath work and movement and kriya and meditation, then click the subscribe button or even head to our website to find out about our courses and trainings. We come through the tantric lineage. So I have explained in a previous lecture about the difference between classical tantra and neo-tantra. So to go into a little bit of the history, we'll talk about the history later in another lecture, but when it comes to the history of yoga, we have first the Vedic lineage of yoga, and this was from about 0 to like 2000 BCE. And probably older. This was the period known as the Vedic period of yoga, in which the Vedas were the primary source text. There was a corpus of texts known as the Vedas or wisdom, and through the Vedas was a whole philosophy and various lineages that arose. Then after the Vedas or the Vedic period came what is now known as the Tantric period. And this period ranged from about the 5th century after the Common Era, CE, to around about the 12th century. And this was a period of practice and philosophy in yoga that very much spoke about the beauty of the body, the subtle body, the energy body, and embraced practice for the householder. After this period came the Hatha lineage. And this Hatha lineage, you would know if you've ever done a Hatha yoga class, Hatha yoga. This came after Tantra and drew a lot upon the Tantric ideas, but a lot of the Tantric ideas were lost and destroyed. And so what we have in Hatha is a kind of piecemeal approach to Tantric practice. So I want to go into the meaning of this word Tantra. If you look anywhere in the web, if you look even in probably written books, you will find that the word Tantra means to weave, or there is the analogy of working with a loom. And so there'll be this kind of tenuous, I suppose, definition that Tantra was a practice that was meant to weave through your daily life, which really was true because the tantric practice was for, as I mentioned, the householder, meaning an individual who might have a job and a husband and a child that they've got to take care of. Everyone who was living in a kind of more everyday situation rather than a monastery or a hermit on a mountain, everyone could practice Tantra. So there is a kind of sense that in some ways, yes, it's true. Tantra could weave across your day and your life, and it should be part of a whole philosophy and a way of living. However, I'm drawing upon the work of Christopher Harish Wallace here, who is an incredible Sanskrit and Tantric scholar practitioner. And he's written a couple of incredible books, and there's probably more that are coming out as you watch this. But what he has actually described in one of his books is that this word Tantra is actually a homonym. Homonym. Yes. A homonym is when two words sound the same, but they have two very different meanings, like sea, I see, and sea, the ocean. So Tantra, there is one word, which is the word that we are going to dive into its meaning. And then there is another word, Tantra, which is meaning the loom, to weave, to weft. So let's kind of set aside this Wikipedia meaning and go into the more accurate definition of the word Tantra. So a Tantra was a book or a doctrine. It was a physical, written, sometimes philosophy or practice. And so the books were called tantras. Sometimes they were also known as agamas. We could be calling this whole stream the agamic yogic practice, potentially, but for whatever reason, the word Tantra has come to describe this particular period of yoga. Now, the Tantras and the Agamas were utilized by teachers in order to teach their students specific practices. The Tantras themselves, these books or doctrines, and there were many thousands of them that were written, would describe mantric practice that combined breath and movement and meditation. So you'll often find this in a tantric practice, this layering of breath, awareness, an energy center, a specific mantra or a deity, and you're really meditating in your practice. Now, each tantra described just one practice, and your teacher, your guru, your master, would have just one of these tantras. And they would, because they were sometimes men, sometimes women, incredibly back then, they would describe this practice to you, and that would be the practice that you did for the rest of your life. You would have just one practice, and you would work within just one lineage. So one stream, one practice. This is the first meaning of this word, Tantra. Now, another meaning of the word Tantra is when we go into the etymology, which is the kind of the study of the meaning of words. When we look and break down this word Tantra, Tan actually means to expand upon or propagate or kind of go into more detail, and Tra means to protect or to save. So when these two words are combined together, it is actually describing the wisdom, the doctrine, the practice that is expanding upon an idea of consciousness, the deeper meaning of life that will remove your suffering, that will protect you from the suffering that you experience in life if you didn't have it. You know the way when you go to a yoga class and you just feel better, or you get a new viewpoint on things? This is really the meaning of Tantra. I'm going to detail and expand upon an idea. I'm going to give you a specific practice, and it's going to help you. It's going to protect your mind. It's going to protect your energy, and it'll allow you to move into a state of liberation. As Christopher Harish Wallace says, Tantra spreads wisdom that saves. What a beautiful way of thinking about this incredible lineage. So rather than kind of utilizing these really easy snippets that kind of propagate across the web, misinformation that kind of gets spread. So somebody sees it in a book that hasn't been very well researched, or the people don't really know Sanskrit that well. It comes from another book, and then it comes from somewhere online. And this is the kind of issues that have happened in the last 100 years with Tantra. As a whole, there's a lot of misinformation that's been spread about Tantra because the first person who translates the text gets it wrong, and then nobody else can read the text after it or have access to the text. And so everybody from there on gets it wrong and then innovates upon it, because Westerners tend to innovate ideas. So we kind of take something and we get creative with it, and then we turn it into something new. Let's pull back this meaning of the word Tantra and come back to its real Sanskrit roots and find some accuracy with it. If you have any questions about the meaning of this word Tantra, if it's triggered you, if it has made you feel excited about what it means, feel free to write in the comment section below. If you're interested in reading more about it, we've got a blog post on it on our website, and we also have trainings, an online studio, and courses for everybody. And if you haven't already, click on the subscribe button below. Thanks for listening.